Greetings, Nick Bocott with Sweetwater here, and as you can probably guess from the set behind me, we are paying tribute to one of the greatest heavy metal guitar players to ever walk this planet. I'm of course referring to Darrell Lance Abbott, better known simply as Dimebag. He was a legend when he was alive. Sadly, he's no longer with us, but his legend hasn't diminished. If anything, it's grown. Not only because of his music, but because of the great videos. Dime Vision 2 just came out. It's amazing just to watch his humor and also his great playing when he was younger, paying tribute to Randy Rhoads and people like that. And there's more Pantera videos coming out too. But this video is dedicated to playing 3 licks inspired by him that you can use hopefully in your own playing and twist, make your own, which is what he would want. So without further ado, let's get to it, shall we? If you're a Dimebag fan, you're probably well aware of the fact of his fascination with the number 3, so it's only fitting that we're doing 3 licks today. Like I said, they're all inspired by stuff he's done on record, and I can't play as well as him, no one can, but I did have the honor, the privilege, the pleasure of working with him on a Guitar World column and actually doing a book with him, so I can't play like him, but he showed me how he does his stuff, so I at least know what his fingers are doing, even though my fingers won't come even close to doing what his digits did. The solo I've just played uses the 3 licks we're going to look at. In fact, that's all that solo consists of, those 3 licks sequenced together. So let's look at them each in turn. They're all in the key of E minor, but you can move them anywhere apart from the first part of the first lick, because that uses a high open E string. So that's tricky to move to another key, but everything else you can move around. So we'll start with lick 1. And what we're going to do is we're going to break it down into 3 bite-sized chunks to make it easier to learn. Now the first 2, as happenstance would have it, aptly come from I'm Broken. So let's look at the first part of the first lick. Before I play another note though, let me just tell you this. If you want tab of these 3 licks, all you've got to do is follow the link on the text below this video on YouTube, and you can download the suckers. So with that said, let's look at lick number 1, the first part, which is this. The first note, or should I say notes because it's 2 strings together, that's a very common blues and hard rock and classic rock cliche. What makes this lick unusual, this part of the lick, is his use of the high open E string. So it goes. That's why you can't move this to another key, because that high E string ringing out is pivotal. So that's part 1. Now let's go to the second bite-sized chunk of lick number 1, which is also from I'm Broken, as I've just said, and this is a pedal point lick around G. The reason it's called pedal point is it keeps going back to the G notes. So here's how it goes, slowly. Once again. So that's the second part. So right now we've got this. Now we come to part 3, which was influenced by something he does at the start of Walk. It involves the blues scale, the minor blues scale. So we've got the flat 5th here, B flat at the 15th fret on the G string, and there's also a string skip. He goes from the G string to the E string. Here it is very slowly, and by the way, when it gets to the G string, that's the only pick he does. Remaining 5 notes are pull-offs followed by hammer-ons. So it does this slowly. So that's the first part of the lick. Here it is again, very slowly. Then to finish the lick off, it does this. Finishes with a pick harmonic. So here's the third part of the lick, all in one chunk, very slowly. Got it? Harder than it sounds, very hard, because that's got to be smooth and in time. They're 16th notes. Cool, so there's the first lick, parts 1, 2, and 3. Now let's go to the second lick, which is inspired by something he does in Revolution Is My Name. Once again, this is an E. Dime likes to use symmetry. What symmetry means is the same frets on each string within the run. So here it goes. So it's 15, 14, 12 on the high E string, 15, 14, 12 on the B, 15, 14, 12 on the G. and then he plays a mathematical run with a lot of slurs. I'm going to pick each note just so you can hear it slowly. By the way, if you're interested in what scales are being used here, this incorporates the blues scale that we've just talked about, and also the Dorian mode, which was used in the pedal point because it has the raised sixth. Instead of C, which is in the natural minor of E, it's got C sharp. So instead of being, it goes. So C sharp, just a raised sixth, and then the flat fifth as well. That's how we've got. So here's the lick slowly with me picking each note. As you can probably surmise by listening to this lick played slowly, it's very mathematical. He starts at the G note at the 15th fret on the high E string and descends 4 notes within that pattern. Then he does the same thing starting at the F sharp note at the 14th fret on the high E string. Then the same from the E note at the 12th fret on the high E string. Then the same from the D note at the 15th fret on the B string. Then the same from the C sharp note at the 14th on the B string. Then from the B at the 12th fret on the B string. And then lastly from the B flat at the 15th fret on the G string. So when he plays it fast, as you can hear, it's very smooth. That's because he's using a lot of pull-offs. So here it is a little faster with the pull-offs. That's a brain and a finger twister, but it's worth working on because when you get it right, it sounds really cool, especially when you play it fast and with all the slurring he does, i.e. all the pull-offs. So you're hardly picking anything. So look at the tab, work out what's going on, then play it the way you want to play it. If you want to pick all the notes, that's cool too. Last but certainly not least, we come to lick number 3, which is a diminished climb of the B and E strings, and it's inspired by the end of Dime's classic Immortal Walk solo. Like I said, it's diminished, and the trick is, as you'll see, it's an even walk up the fretboard. You start at the 9th position, then you go up 3 frets to the 12th, then another 3 to the 15th, then another 3 to the 18th, then another 3 to the 21st. Got it? 3 again. Wow. And each little part consists of 3 notes. And then there's a bend at the end, of course. Now the trick here is not to let the notes ring into each other. It sounds distantly cool, but you don't want that in this particular run. Here's what they sound like together if you let them ring together. Which is actually pretty cool, but in this run, the way Dime plays it, that doesn't happen. So the way to do it is before you play the note that follows, kill the other one. So you go. Killing the note on the B string is pretty easy, but the high E string is less easy unless you angle your index finger on the B correctly, so you're muting the high E with the pad of it. So I'm just relaxing my finger when I play the first note, then playing the second note, taking that finger off, the index finger's muting it, and then I'm holding that. So and that's it, lick number 3, the diminished walk from Walk. All you got to do is learn it, then play it really fast, and it sounds mega cool. Now to finish this, I'm going to leave you with 3 pearls of wisdom from Dime himself. I had the great fortune of working with him on his Guitar World column. We did a book together, so I spent endless hours with the man. I sat with him, he made me laugh, he showed me how to play stuff, and they paid me for it. Nice! Anyway, here are the 3 snippets of wisdom from Dime. Dime rule number 1. There are no rules. If you think it's good, it's good. It doesn't matter what some music theory expert says. If they say it's wrong and you like it, they're wrong, you're right. Do it your way. And here's Dime rule number 2, and this ties in with Dime rule number 1. You don't need to know modes and scales. You don't need to know what he called the Jacobian scale. There's only one scale you really need to know, and that, my friends, is the chromatic scale. That's every note on the guitar. Cool. The last rule, number 3, came from Dime via his dad, Jerry. One day Dime was down on his playing. He thought he was in a rut. So Jerry said this to me. He said, son, I know you're feeling down about stuff, but can you learn just one new lick today? And Dime went, yeah, of course. He goes, okay. If you do that every day for a week, how many licks do you know? If you do that every day for a month, how many licks do you know? If you do that every day for a year, how many licks will you know? You're not in a rut. Go learn something. And that's a great tip. All you got to do is find something you've never done before and add it to your repertoire. And hopefully these 3 licks will give you 3 days of that particular adage. Just multiply. In fact, what I recommend you do is take 32 days off a year, but learn a lick every other day, because that will give you a Dime-approved 333 licks per year. And with that bit of mathematical nonsense, I'm just going to say, I hope you enjoyed this. Follow the link to the tab. I'm going to play out another solo using all 3 of those licks, along with some other stuff that's kind of Dime-inspired. As I said, I'm not even close, but Daryl, thank you. Rest in peace, my friend. Rest in peace.